Welcome everybody, WildeWilly here, and this is a double play episode. This is the start of my party girl build, the combination of the Frenzied Zealot and the Godskin Celebrant, both in Fate classes, so we have some synergy. And this is also my startup guide, setup guide for the Convergence mod. So let's get started. We're going to start as the Frenzied Zealot, and then go pick up the Godskin Celebrant stuff. I always recommend that you start out with the Warding Remnant as your keepsake. We're going to do character creation, and then we will get into setting up the run, which is getting set up for any build that you're doing. It's going to be getting you smithing stones, somber stones, bell bearings, golden seeds, sacred tears, and gold pickled foulfoot, and setting you up with some farms to get levels. So let's get into the content here. We'll see you on the other side of character creation. Alright, so character creation is done, initial cutscene done. You're going to spawn into the Sanctuary of Lost Knowledge. If you're not familiar with the Convergence mod, you can run around and read these little placards and get more information about the various changes to the Convergence mod. Highly recommend you do that at some point. That is Selwyn the Owl. He can move between at least 3 different spaces. You go and talk to him when you are looking for your next keystone of the forge, which you will figure out in the game. That is how you burn the capital, the Erd Tree, after defeating Fire Giant and Beastie Malekith. So one thing you always want to pick up before you go through is this. That's going to be all the whetstone knives combined, your Flask of Wondrous Physic, the crafting kit, the Memory of Grace, and you get your Spectral Steed Whistle. So now we're going to leave and spawn into the world. We're going to figure out where we're at, and then we'll start setting up the round. All right, so we are in Ailing Village, which is in southern Weeping Peninsula. We will be back here. I want to go ahead and first thing I always want everybody to do is kind of head over here to the church, and that's where like this run is going to start. It's going to be a little bit of backtracking involved, but that's okay. If you start on the Weeping Peninsula, we're actually heading there first. What we're doing is we're visiting this church, and this church right near where we're at, right there, to get 3 sacred tears. Then there's a golden seed down here, and then we're going to grab the grace inside the entrance to Castle Morn. So anyway, let me go to the grace, and then I'm going to ride over here to that church, and we're going to pick it up from there. All right, so here we are at the Church of Ella. A couple things to grab while we're here. I'm going to touch the grace in a minute. First thing I want to do is run out here and grab this. Golden Rune 2. We're going to sell that to Kale, buy his lantern, which is only 200 runes. Grab the smithing stone, talk to him.
Tarnished, but I can also let you know. Then why not? I am Kale.
So we're going to sell him our golden rune. And you can acquire his bell bearing. You see what he has to offer, and we want that. A lantern. I'm going to just go ahead and pick up these for later. Not necessary. We're here for the lantern.
Nice to do business.
Thanks. So next step, we're just going to come over here and grab the first step, and then we're going to drop off the back to the Spirit Spring to grab a gold pickle foulfoot, and then we are going to warp back over to the Church of Ella. So Convergence mod changes. What's changed is the golden seeds are now 1-to-1. That means for every level you're getting out of your flask, you only require 1 golden seed instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. Multiple later on. So by the end of this run, we will have it's close to a plus 12 flask with plus 12 charges. There's my spirit springs. And you can, probably most efficient just to do this. If you don't have any runes, we'll spawn back at the Grace. Save a little time. Just warp back to the church and proceed from there. When I get to the church, we'll mark the map again. Oh, and I didn't grab the Grace. So we're going to run to the church, grab the Grace. We want to run through the underground part of Gatefront to grab a Somber. And then we're going to grab this Grace. Then we're going to grab a Somber stone off the bridge and one from right here. We're going to ride up here and get another gold pickled foulfoot. And then we are going to grab the Grace right before the Everjail where you get Bloodhound's Fang, and then we'll mark the next set of stuff. So let me go and run and do that stuff, and we will continue. All right, so the underground part is done. All we get from down there is a large Somber, upgrades to +5. So you have regular Sombers, you need 3 of those, +1, +2, +3. 2 large Sombers will go +4, +5. I think it's giant Sombers after that are 6 and 7, and then colossal Sombers are 8 and 9. Our mark is in the wrong place. We're basically just heading towards that cross up on the hill there for the gold pickled foulfoot. It's also right next to the Waypoint Ruins. You're going to want to visit that later if you feel comfortable fighting a Pumpkinhead at like level 1, whatever level you're at, go ahead. Sorceress Selin sells for about 10,000 runes, a gold pickled foulfoot, a memory stone, an enchanted remnant, and a golden seed and a sacred tear. So you can get those 4 things for about 10,000. It's in the little underground section. Next, we're just heading over to the Grace, so I'll pause and pick it up there, and we'll do more stuff on our map. Okay, so picking it back up again, got the Agil Lake South Grace. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to be heading across the Bridge of Sacrifice. We are going to grab the Site of Grace by the Merchant. We're going to go up here and grab a Memory Stone. If you are not doing any casting, you can ignore this part. Then we're going to run down here, grab the golden seed. It's actually like more over here-ish. And then we're going to run down here and grab the Grace for the new outer courtyard area of the redesigned Castle Morn. So that's where we're going to go. There's a Grace that you can pick up right here as well. Along the way, you want to grab the Morning Star out of the carriage. I'll pop back in for that. But anyway, let's continue. All right, just grabbing the Morning Star from this carriage. You do not have to get off a torrent. A little bit of a smithing stone there. Some more just crafting stuff. That is like an arrow-related talisman, so if you want to do a bow build, or Ash of War rather, and then we are going to grab the Grace here. So we're going to head up and do the tower puzzle for Memory Stone, and then we'll come back here and we're going to head south to grab the golden seed. So we'll pick it up again there. Memory Stone, again, if you're not playing a caster build, feel free to disregard this point. Back down to the Castle Morn Rampart, and then we're heading for the golden seed. Okay, golden seed right down there to my left. Gonna grab that in a second. Right above my head, you can kind of see the faint glimmer. There's a Site of Grace. That's the new outer rampart area. There's 2 parts. There's a frenzy part to the right, and then the castle access part to the left. You can also access the proper part of the castle by going through the Morn Tunnel. Also wanted to point out that this battlement has a golem on it, an archer golem, and there's a point where you have to traverse the outside of the castle. If you don't kill the golem, he will be shooting great arrows at you the whole time. If you do kill him, you get the golem's great bow, and he does not respawn. So I'm going to grab the golden seed and the grace, and then we are going to go back up to our merchant grace out there and proceed. All right, so this is our next route from the Castle Morn Rampart side of Grace. You're going to work your way west and up and around and into the church here. Straight ahead by the statue, you're going to get your first sacred tier. Then we're going to ride north, drop down over here, northwest, cross the bridge, head up and grab the second sacred tier here. Then we're just going to ride south into the zone, up the hill, and into the third church over here. I don't know if it's literally the third church or not, but third church on our route for another sacred tier. And that's where I'm going to meet up with you guys. All right, just grab sacred tier number 1 in the Kalu Baptismal Church. Also got a Somber stone. Basic Somber stone, it's like a +1, 2, 3. You also, on the Bridge of Inequity, you grab on the left-hand side a large smithing, which is like 4, 5, 6. So dropping down over here just to show where that is. When you see the spirit spring, that part's safe to drop down. Won't take any fall damage. I'll see you in the next church. Church of the Pilgrimage, another sacred tier. That is the spawn-in point for the Necromancer, and then we are headed to the next church. If you're interested in the Necromancer or having spirit summons, recommend you stop by there and grab the staff. Fourth Church America. That's a dragon cult weapon, the Draconic Epitaph, another sacred tier. And a grace. So let's take a moment to level up Remnant Craft and plot our next route. So add charge. That was my golden seed, and then 1, 2, 3 sacred tiers. And I want to go to Remnant Crafting. I always recommend starting with the Warding Remnant and getting this. The Taker's Cameo restores HP, FP, and stamina upon defeating enemies. Good for any build. Warding Remnants are kind of hard to get. So I would recommend starting with this and starting with the Taker's Cameo. Every build I do, I put that on and don't take it off. So anyway, from next stop here, you can swing down and grab the Merchant Bell Bearing from down here. Nothing remarkable. There's a graveyard over here that you can loot some golden runes from. But basically, next stop, we are going to head here, and we are going to head to the shack there. We're going to grab a golden seed along the way. That'll get Rodrika going to the round table if you are interested in doing spirit summons. So let's start at Agil Lake North and head up the road. All right, so I'm back. I don't know if I'm repeating myself or not because I paused the video and not sure when I restarted. I did some remnant crafting and used all my golden seeds and sacred tears. Next, we're just going up the road, grabbing a golden seed and heading over to the Stormhill Shack. Then we're going to head over to the War Master Shack. We're going to grab the grace on the site of grace before the bridge, below where Alexander is. And then we're going to grab the grace outside of the ruins, and we are going to finally visit where the green turtle shell talisman normally is to pick up our first enchanted remnant fragment. So let's, starting from Agil Hill Lake, we'll proceed. That's a buckler. If you want to parry something, go ahead and pick that up. You can get them at the round table too. Talk to Rodrika to get her moving on her quest line. If you're interested in spirit summons and just to get her quest moving. If not, skip. and then we'll pick it up War Master Shack. War Master Shack. You can kill Bernal, get his armor, get his bell bearing. Definitely worth talking to him and...
Does your fist bite? Yeah, it takes me back. Any intro I know. Now's the time.
Picking up a lot of these Ashes of War. They let you do a lot of interesting things with base smithing weapons. I don't have any runes, but just wanted to point that out. Also, if you kill him before you go and turn in his bell bearing, if you go to Volcano Manor and talk to Lady Tanith and then turn in his bell bearing, you can buy Assassin's Gambit, which is useful, very useful in certain situations. So bear that in mind as well, and we're going to proceed. So we're at the site of grace below Alexander. You don't have to murder NPCs anymore if you want the Jar Shard, or you want like Millicent's prosthesis. You can just craft them and get them right at the start of the game. So that's what we're proceeding to do. We're heading east towards the ruin, and we're going to grab where the turtle shell talisman normally is, our first enchanted remnant, and we're going to use that to make the gold scarab. Alright, we're here in Summon Water Village, picking things up. There are no stone sword keys in the Convergence mod, so anywhere there was a stone sword key, you could just run right on through. I'm going to grab this, and then I'm going to pull up the map, talk about where we're going to go next. So there's our first enchanted remnant. What we are going to do is drop down to the south, loot the graveyard there. You can get the Dreadnought Zet. If you don't start as the Dreadnought, it's a pretty decent, melee class start. Then we're going to be working our way down here, and we're going to grab Sacred Blade along the way before we end up at the church here. That's the starting point for the Fundamentalists. We already have our Flask of Wondrous Physic. We don't have anything to put in it because you have to murder Erd Tree Teleporter Network bosses in order to get enchanted or crafting remnants for those pieces. So let's proceed on down. Alright, so looted the graveyard. Dropping over here. Wanted to point out that you don't have to go to that other graveyard anymore. If you're used to getting the Thiever's Cookbook for the sleep cop recipe, you can craft everything already. So there's Sacred Blade, definitely want that. Want some sort of holy option to be able to deal with undead, unless you're comfortable with double tapping them. We're going to run in here, grab the Sacred Tear, grab the Grace, and then we'll pull open the map and continue. So Sacred Tear, Grace, that's the starting stuff for the Fundamentalist class. If you want to do a holy build, this is where you're going to spawn in. Pulling up the map, we are just running down here to get our first combat remnant here. I can show you what one of the Erd Tree bosses looks like. And then we are riding over to Fort Height to grab the Golden Seed and then the Grace over there. So that's where we're going to proceed. Let's get into that. So just want to show you, this is the Minor Erd Tree. Normally you'd be able to come here and grab various physics, but instead you end up with these bosses. Erd Tree Guardians, Putrid Avatars, whatever it is. They're variable ones. This is not the one I would recommend you fight. If you want to get used to their moveset, you are going to see increasingly powerful versions of these guys as you go through the game. And in, where is it? The Helig Tree, you can get one as a summons. A very powerful summons, where the avatar is right before you go to the Grace to the Underground Sun. But anyway, this is what we're here for here. The Combat Remnant. And then next up is Fort Height and the next Golden Seed. Fort Height, Golden Seed. Gonna drop down. Oh, this might kill me. anyway, grab that grace, and then we're going to proceed from there. All right, so I'm back. So we don't need the Fort Heights site of grace. If you ever want to go back there, go and grab that. Just wanted to point out on the map, like we went by, we now see that the Erdtree Guardian is marked on the map. This is where Sorcerer Selwyn is going to be. Definitely want to visit later, showing the Mad Pumpkinhead is alive. But anyway, we are going to proceed from the third church. We're going to take the teleporter just in the lake behind. Hop out to the north into this pond and head all the way to the east, and you'll see it. If you're not familiar with the base game for whatever reason, we're going to grab the Grace in the Bestial Sanctum, grab the Golden Seed, head across the bridge, drop down, grab the Site of Grace by Lenny's Rise. If you're a caster, again, you're going to want to do the puzzle to get the Memory Stone, and then we are going to proceed south past the Minor Erdtree and use the Spirit Spring to pop up to Fort Ferrith. Wanted to show this part because when you use some of these ways gates, most of them now aren't going to give you a choice. You interact with it, you're going. So be prepared if you don't know what's on the other side. Most of them you're pretty safe, but some of them will chuck you right into a fight. Especially, you know, like there's one example in Mogwin's Palace up on the hill behind the hillside approach Site of Grace. It'll take you to the underground area where you spawn in right in front of a Crucible Knight. So you either got to be ready to like roll, block, or like parry. So just FYI on that. So next up, the Golden Seed, and then Lenny's Rise. All right, Lenny's Rise. Looted the graveyard above. That gives you a Baldekin's Blessing, and you're like, what the heck is that? I remember that from the base game. What that does in the Convergence mod is it allows you to summon without getting a debuff. Otherwise, you get a debuff to both your health and your FP if you summon without that. Or you're going to need either 19 Faith and 19 Intelligence. This is a in faith build, so that's not going to be a problem for us. But if you're interested in casting as another class, those are the stats that you're going to need to hit. 19 faith, 19 intelligence. So anyway, off to Fort Ferrith next. All right, so back in again, approaching Fort Ferrith, and we are going to show this off a little bit. Fort has been completely redone. Grail is still there. I am going to craft with our enchanted remnant the gold scarab, and I'm going to show you your first rune farm. The ball farm still exists. You get about 1900 runes if you have the gold scarab equipped. Do not need to go to the abandoned cave and get it. We got our first enchanted remnant from where the green total talisman usually is. Now you can get the two-headed talisman right off the bat with an enchanted remnant if you want, but there's the gold scarab. You can also craft a combat remnant. We got that where you normally get the axe talisman, so you can craft that or anything else that you want. Let me equip the Taker's Cameo and the gold scarab, and this is your rune farm. You walk up to the doorway here, don't even enter in. You're going to start a big battle royale between Redmane soldiers. There are a couple of Redmane knights, Kindred of Rot, a couple dogs, soldiers, foot soldiers, whatever. Anyway, then what you do is you just kind of jog back over here to the Grace. You can stand in the doorway and watch too if you want, but they might aggro to you. And then you just kind of sit and wait and let runes come in. So we'll do that for just a second, and with Taker's Cameo on, you can see I'm getting runes, but also that's HP coming back in. And then, like I said, Grail is still where she is. You can still farm her again, doing the trick where you kill her. Part of the reason we grabbed the Morning Star from the Weeping Peninsula is so that you have a weapon that does bleed. I'll show you a couple other options as well. At the round table, you can kill her right over here, right up the stairs, and still rest at the Site of Grace in plenty of time in order to grab the runes. I typically do that 3 times. It's about as much patience as I have for that, getting set up, and I will use the Gold Scarab and the Gold Pickle Foulfoot. We're going to have 3 of them by the end of this run, so that should get you really nicely set up on runes and so that you can level to start out your build. So next up, while we're waiting for the runes to come in, we're going to ride down to the Church of the Plague, which is right there, and then we're going to ride into Celia Town and grab a golden seed, and then we're going to grab the Site of Grace, the Celia Understair Grace, right outside the new kind of, I won't call it a full-on legacy dungeon, but the Celia Crystal Tunnel now has an outer courtyard as well. There's one other thing I want to point out along the way. Before you drop down, there's a giant skull that has smithing materials on top of that you want to grab. I'll tune back in when we reach that point. So there's the giant skull. A couple things I wanted to point out. The dragons are already up and aggressive. Enemies in the Convergence mod are going to have a higher aggression threshold, so don't be surprised if they're like on you a little sooner than the base game if you're not familiar. So we just grabbed all the large and great smithing stones. Great smithing stone is our first +9, and then large will get you up to +6. So for smithing stones, you need 3. It's like you need 1, then 2, then 3. So you need 6 per level. Whereas the base game, you needed 2, 4, and 6, 12 per level. So it's a little simpler, and you don't need specific stones. So just wanted to point that out. I'm going to run in and grab the Sacred Tear by Millicent. And then I'm going to duck out the side because, again, Kindred of Rot outside the front door, very enhanced aggression radius. They will aggro to you and fill you full of pest threads if you go a little too close to the front door. So let's grab that, and then I will see you at the next golden seed. Celia Town Crystal Seed. You can still do the puzzle. Grab stuff if you're doing sorcery. Grabbing the Site of Grace, and this is what I mean about the new Celia Crystal Town. You just have to break one of the seals, like the first puzzle that you can do in order to access this. But anyway, from here, let me get rid of our marks. We're going to go back to Fort Ferrith. We're going to ride over to the Divine Tower where the Somber 8s and 9s usually are and grab the Site of Grace right over here. So that's where we're going to proceed. We're going to grab those things, and that's where we'll continue from Fort Ferrith, you starting out. So large Somber and Gold Pickle Foulfoot. So now we have 3 Gold Pickle Foulfeet. The Somber is only a +7. It's not like the equivalent or an 8 or a 9. That would be a Colossal. So just FYI. And the one that's usually the Somber 8 is still the explodey kind. If you're comfortable taking it out at this level, go right ahead. Grab the Site of Grace over here if you want, but where we're going to pick it up from again is Stormhill Shack. So that's where I'll see you next. All right, so Stormhill Shack, we're going to proceed along. The bridge is rebuilt. You're going to grab a Grace here. You can ride through the forest and grab a Grace here. Then we're going to ride down into the lake, into the Sorcery Town. There's like going to be a golden seed right about here. And then we're going to ride up into the fort, up to the gate. You don't need the Celia Crystal Key anymore, so you don't have to go visit the Glintstone Dragon over here. So let's get into that. That's where I'm going to meet you next, is right outside of Rey Lucaria. Gate Town Golden Seed, and then we're just proceeding up to the gate. Alright, so through the gate, I'm going to be adding in my Golden Seed Sacred Tears. We have another Golden Seed here. I've been leveling up as you go along. The guy outside, the corpse that usually gives you the map as to where the key is, he has a couple of large smithing stones, so pick that up. So from here, we are just going to be heading northeast across the bridge to grab the Golden Seed. Then we're going to warp back here. Then we're going to use the teleporter glyph thingy to teleport over here, grab the Grace, and then we're riding over here for another Golden Seed, or Sacred Tear rather, and we'll pick it up there. I did screw up and not touch the Grace. Fortunately, if you are savvy with Torrent, you can make the jump back. So Bellum Highway, just grabbing the Grace over there and then heading for the church. Bellum Church, Sacred Tear, and from here we are heading up and taking the lift up to the Altus Plateau and grabbing the Grace over here. No need for the Dectus Medallion. You can just ride up and it'll take you on up. So that's where we'll proceed next. We're going to go over here, grab the Grace. We're going to grab the Golden Seed here, and then we're just going to ride down to the Finger Crone Reader Merchant to grab that site of Grace to have it for later on in the zone. Alright, so next Golden Seed, not going to proceed along the path, just going to double back and grab this Grace. Might be a little bit too late to point this out, but reminder that things have enhanced aggression, so you might get shot at by the ballista approaching the Dectus lift, or the golems with the great bows afterwards. Next, we are going to head up and proceed into the outer part of the capital. I always like to do it along this side and then pop in before the sentinels to grab the site of Grace here, and then we're going to run into the cave and grab the smithing bell bearing 2. Okay, so steeds, you can get different mounts other than Torrent. If you kill both of these guys, not only do you get their armor set, but as you proceed along, you can get a kind of holy themed knight mount, which is especially notable because when you ride into things, the horse will do damage just bumping into stuff. So FYI on that. Where you get it is up and to the right. A seal will be broken. You can kind of play around and find that. But anyway, you get one Golden Seed there. Next we're going into the tunnel to get the smithing bell bearing, and then we're going to come back here. Smithing bell bearing. This place is going to look a little different here in this sealed tunnel. But the bell bearing is still in the chest over here. Okay, so starting up again from the outer wall, Phantom Tree Grace, you're going to go up past the gargoyle. No more Golden Seeds here. It's just ground loot. Up here is where you get the steed if you beat the 2 tree sentinels. We're going to ride up here for Grace. We're going to ride out here. There's another Golden Seed we can grab right here. There are 3 ballistas that will shoot at you, and then 1 from up on the hill, so if you want to take those guys out along the way. Then we're going to ride south, grab a Grace here. Past the hero's grave, there's another graveyard you can loot, and we'll meet you over here for another Sacred Tear. Dropping back in to point this out, this is running through the ruins. This is worth grabbing down here to the right. Right here on the chair, we have a large Somber. So that's just along the way to our next site of Grace. Popping back in again for a second, you're going to notice as you ride through here, this is a whole new encampment. So just be aware as you're riding through. If you go straight through, no problem. If you stop and look around, you might be in for a fight. So just proceeding to the graveyard and then over there to the church to my left where the mark is. Alright, so next up we are going to be heading back over to the Altus Plateau site of Grace. We're going to be heading down over here past the Lux Ruins to the Erd Tree Grazing Hill site of Grace to grab another golden seed, and then we're going to be riding down and over here to the Perfumer's Ruins, because in the underground section there we can get another warding remnant. Picking it up here in the Perfumer's Ruins. If you kind of go around the side like I did, you can avoid aggro any. And then there's our warding remnant. From here, we are going to be heading back over to Altus Highway. Then we are going to grab this Grace. We're going to make our way down to the Grace there and then over to the church here for another sacred tier. Alright, so dropping into the church here to grab the sacred tier, it will spawn in an invader. So you do have to ride out and ride away before you can warp. Once you lose aggro, we are just going to head to the round table. Okay, so we're at the round table hold. You can go here anytime. Same way you would get access it from the base game. You don't have to leave the starting zone. You could literally come here right from the start of the game if you wanted to. A couple things to point out. Talking to Brother Corwin, just general setup for any class that you're doing. You see the site at the Grace. Study incantations. There are a couple that I want to point out. Purging Flames. This is like Flame Cleanse Me, 18 faith requirement. Gets rid of any status ailment and gives you immunity to it for a period of time. And then Blessing of Grace, just reducing equip load and grants HP recovery over time. So that's a nice pickup at only 13 faith. Okay, so we're at the Twin Maiden Husks now in the round table hold. Couple things to point out. Turned in the bell bearing, so regular smithing weapons, large smithing stone, that'll do +4, +5, +6. You can spirit summon. You will get debuffed if you don't cast one of the binding spells that either come from the Mystic or Necromancer classes, but you can just pick those up and use them if you have enough Int and Faith. For the Necromancer, binding, it is 19 and 19 Int and Faith, so I'm already there, and I believe the Mystic is 22 and 22. So if you want to do that and just dump a few points into those stats until you reach that threshold, I'd recommend going with the Necromancer version. The Necromancer spawns in by one of the churches earlier in the setup run. I pointed that out on Weeping Peninsula, and then there's the Catacomb by the Minor Erd Tree that you can go to also in Weeping to get the Necromancy rune that allows you to do the summon binding without getting debuffed. In terms of farming Grail, we picked up the Morning Star, so if you have 12 strength and I believe it's 10 dex, you're in luck. If you don't, you're a caster boy like me, you can get the Bloodstained Dagger. It doesn't have shit for range, but it does have bleed. I recommend doing some sort of infusion on this so that it is cold infused. The Dragonkin infusion will give you frost, so that you will have frost and bleed buildup, which will make your Grail farms go faster. You have the Gold Scarab, and at this point, if you've been following the walkthrough, you should have 3 Gold Pickle Foul Feet. Alright, so more from the round table. Rodrika is here if you want to get her going doing spirit summon stuff. Kind of same as the base game. You got to find Grave and Close Glavort type thingies. to give to her. In terms of progression for the rest of your flask, we are maxed out on golden seeds. We need 4 more sacred tears. Let's talk about where we can get those. Starting on your map, remember you can, once you're leveled up enough, go to the waypoint ruins, defeat the Mad Pumpkinhead to get access to Sorcerer Selene, and she will sell you an enchanted remnant, a memory stone, a sacred tear, and a golden seed. So that will get you to +9. You can come over here to the lift and work your way up to the Frenzy Tower, knock that out, and run up to the church where Vike is, and grab another sacred tear. That will get you to +10. Starting from the East Ray Lucaria Gate, Site of Grace, you can drop down and run through the tunnel here to grab the Miner's Bell Bearing for the 1, 2, 3 smithing stones. You can get another memory stone here, and then you can ride through the ruins to Iji here. He does have a limited supply of basic smithing and basic somber stones you can buy from him. So then in terms of progression, you can start gathering up weapons, you can start gathering up your spells based on what your starting class is or your hybrid build. This is part of an in-faith build called the Party Girl, which is going to be the frenzied heretic and the celebrant, the Godskin celebrant, which should have some synergy. You do not need to defeat 2 rune holders. You can ride past the Draconic Tree Sentinel, grab a grace here, make your way into the capital. There's a page you have to get past to access to the grace there. And then there's a vine that you can ride down. You have to get past a gargoyle to access the lift to get to the Forbidden Bands, where you will be able to access your first Colossal Somber, which is the +8, +9. Make your way to the mountaintops, get in here to get the Smithing Binder's Bell Bearing 3, which will allow you to take basic weapons to +7, +8, +9. The max in the Convergence mod is 10. You can get another Colossal Somber once you cross over here, kill the Golem beneath the bridge right here before the Site of Grace here. You can grab one. Run up here, grab the grace, run all the way south, grab another Colossal from the by the lobsters in the frozen lake, and then grab another sacred tear, which will get you to what? +11? +10 or +11? +11. And then some more smithing mats there. So that's how you can proceed through the game. That will get you set up. You have a bleed weapon that you can farm Grail. You have 3 gold pickled foul feet and the golden seed if you've been following along. You can farm up Grail 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, however many times you like to start getting stats to get your build started. And that will make you OP heading into the Convergence mod before you've really tackled any content. Speaking of content, if you've enjoyed this, please give it a like and subscribe. And if you're interested in seeing how our Party Girl build progresses, you can follow along in the next episode of that series.